Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're super excited to have Lorraine Chapman here with us from HPCC Systems. She's going to be talking about their awesome internship program and going over all the information you need to know to be successful to apply for this internship program. We'll have time at the end to ask her questions. So if you want, you can leave them to the end, or she's also told us she's more than happy to have you answer them or ask them as she's speaking. So feel free to turn on your camera and ask away the questions. So without further ado, Lorraine, the floor is yours to present. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Kate, for inviting me here today. I'm going to share my screen and start my slideshow. There we go. Okay, so you already know my name. I work for LexisNexis Risk Solutions, and HPCC Systems is a platform that is produced and used by LexisNexis Risk Solutions. So I've got a slide in here just to tell you a little bit about HPCC Systems in case you have not heard of us before. The slide pretty much gives you an overview of what I want to tell you today, but if you really want to find out more, then go to our website hpccsystems.com. You'll find a wealth of information up there that will answer most of your questions. So it can be a big data analytics solution that's end-to-end, i.e. taking your data in, processing that data and putting it out at the other end so users can see answers to the questions they have of their data. But it doesn't have to be. You can take your data in, process this and take it out again, or take data in that you've processed and run data analytics on it. It's kind of open-ended like that, but it can be an end-to-end solution. So as you can see, we went open source in 2011. So we are now celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. The product actually underpins a lot of our own data-driven business initiatives. So for example, clients such as people in insurance, and people that need to process lots of data, they use our system in order to do that. And as you can see, it can be used in a variety of ways. We have an awful lot of academic researchers who use it because it's open source and it's free, as well as people within the business communities in different verticals. So there are two clusters. There's the Thor cluster. This is the cluster that does the heavy lifting. You take the data in, you clean the data. I don't know how much you know about big data, but it can come in lots of different formats, and some of it can be quite messy. So in order to be able to use it, you have to do some processing to make it usable. And then the Roxy cluster is the cluster that gives you the insights into your data. So you write queries using our language, UCL, which was specifically written for writing queries into data. And then you can create a user interface which can then give your users access to the data in a visual way. So when you come to do an internship at HPCC Systems, what you're doing is you are contributing to our platform that does all of these things. So as you can see, this is going to be an internship that is specifically for people who have an interest in coding, who may want to be a software engineer or architect, or maybe you have an interest in data analytics and you have an aspiration to be a data scientist. And that's where the machine learning library comes in. We have our own open source machine learning library. So having told you a little bit about HPCC Systems itself, let's move on to look at the intern program and what that means. So yes, it's paid. It's always one of the first questions on the lips of students. They always want to know, are they going to get paid? We take on students from high school through to PhD, and you get paid according to the stage that you're at in your studies. It is a global program, so we have students who join the program from the 3 continents that you can see up there. Yeah, it runs from May through to August. That's for the American audience. Obviously, people who are in different areas of the globe may have semesters that don't necessarily follow the same monthly schedule that they do in the US, and we can accommodate that. We do have students who work in an office. We have an office in Boca Raton, which will be of particular interest to you guys given your location. But we do also have an office in Alpharetta. We have offices in other places too, and I have been able to place students who are located in other states in the US with LexisNexis related groups, so they can have office space and a desk. Actually, last year, the whole program ran remotely. That's not that unusual for us. Our program has had students who've been working remotely on the program since we began the program in 2015. So we are perfectly set up for dealing with working with remote interns. And in fact, this year, I would like to promise you guys that if you want to be in an office, you can be, but it's really hard to say, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. If we can make that happen, then we will. But obviously with COVID-19, it's likely that the program will run remotely again in 2021. So to get access to this program, you have to create a proposal, and the deadline for proposals is the 19th of March. When you've submitted your proposal to me, I then engage the review panel, and the review panel looks at all the proposals that come in and decide who they want to offer places to based on the quality of the content of the proposal. You get mentoring on this program, so there's always someone there to support you and give you guidance during not only your internship itself, but also while you're preparing your proposal. You can get help from the mentor of the project. You get involved with our open source community. You can get involved by submitting a blog, doing a presentation, entering our poster contest, and some students have presented at our conference later in the year in the fall. There's a lot of information I've just said there. So if you want to go back and recap, then visit my blog, hpccsystems.com/intern, and that pretty much gives you all the information you need to know, along with the accompanying links to take you to the places that will fill in those gaps for you. So I mentioned a project proposal, and it may feel like I glossed over that bit. So here I am returning back to that to fill in the gaps specifically about this issue. I know for some people, the thought of producing a project proposal may feel quite overwhelming, and I'm hoping that by the time we have finished this presentation, those fears are going to be put to one side and you're going to be ready to go to produce a proposal. It's not as difficult as it may seem. You can see the beginnings of an example project proposal on the screen towards the right-hand side. You can see that what this student has done here is they have scoped the project out by itemizing all of the tasks that will be needed in order to complete the project that he is applying for. There's also a timeline on there. This is one of the things we do expect from a proposal. So you can say what you think you're going to be able to achieve each week of your internship. And as you saw on the previous slide, the internship lasts for 12 weeks. You don't have to choose one of the projects from our available projects list. There are lots up there, and there's a huge variety not only in terms of different areas that you can look at and match your skills and your interest, but also in terms of level of difficulty based on, what your level of study might be and what you feel comfortable with doing. You can suggest your own project. Some students who work with professors who are doing some research and have a reason for using HPCC systems to analyze their data or provide us with an interesting use case, or even they have decided they want to use a particular machine learning algorithm and would like to contribute an ECL version of that for our machine learning library. That all those things are perfectly acceptable to us, and you can get in touch with us and say, I'm working with a professor, we have this idea, would this be suitable for building a proposal? And we will reply back and also link you up with someone who is an expert in your particular field with the company, so you can work together and make that happen. As well as showing the tasks, it's also a good idea to to show that you have thought about the challenges when you've been providing your solutions. It's important for us to see your thought processes, and also I think it would be helpful for anyone who is applying for to do a project like this to have thought those things through in advance. It's what we do on our development team when we're working on projects. And if you're not sure, if you go up and you look at the projects and you're not sure how to get started, or you have questions about the descriptions in each of the projects, then the mentor should be named on the page and you can get in touch, or you can get in touch with me and I can help you make those introductions. And the link to the wiki is at the bottom for you to go and read up about all of this information. Don't worry about writing down frantically the links. I have sent a PDF of this presentation through to Kate, and it will be available to you at some point. You can just click on the links. I just want to say a little bit about research and development. I've been working with developers now for pretty much all my working life. And one of the things I've learned is that while it's computer science, or data science, I do sometimes think that being a developer actually pushes the boundaries into being artistic as well. You have to design something, you're working with it, carefully crafting it, sometimes having to change things as you go along, because perhaps when you started, you thought it would work one way, and as you got into the project, you've discovered it's not working well that way. There's a better way of doing it. You need to make a change. So I do think that development is actually a little bit of an art form too. And that's certainly from my own experiences. So if we know that this can happen in research and development, obviously we know it can happen on your project too. And you may not be aware of that when you do your project proposal, and you may start your internship and find that maybe you're heading down a rabbit hole or a dead end, but that's okay. That happens to us too, and there's always people around to help you navigate any of those obstacles that may come your way. And I might say it's all part of the process of learning how research and development works. I mean, obviously, you know, people, they like to spend a bit of time themselves working out the answers to difficult questions. But obviously with an internship, you've got 12 weeks. So you can't really afford to hang around trying to find all the solutions for yourselves, however tempting it might be to do that, which is why I say the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. If you find you've been sitting around thinking about things for too long, get some help. That's what we would do too, and we don't expect you to behave any differently. There is a lot of support on this programme. I provide pastoral support to all of the students, but you do get a mentor, and the mentor is the same person that you spoke to while you were preparing your proposal. So you've already built up a relationship with the person that you're going to spend working with for 12 weeks. They're not the only person you're going to encounter. There will be other members of the team that you speak to during that time, because the chances are that what you're working on will touch on several different areas, but your mentor will be able to guide you to the right person at the right time. We have some measures in place to help guide you through the process so you feel supported. So we have evaluations. There's one at the midterm and one at the end. The midterm is a really good point to take a step back and reflect over what's happened in the first half of your internship. Gives us an opportunity to look forward to the second half of your internship and also talk through anything that can make that experience better than the first half. There are weekly progress reports. These come to me and your project mentor. We use them to try and kind of work out where you might need additional support. So for example, if you said one week, I'm going to achieve these 5 tasks, when you look at the following week and you find you've only managed to achieve 3, then, I mean, that might be okay. You might have overestimated what you thought you could achieve in 1 week. It might be that it's a sign that maybe you need some extra training. And we have lots of online training courses. And it's quite good to make sure that, you know, people gain extra information and knowledge and skills, as well as also showing us the ones that they already have. The daily stand-up call we started this year because all of the internships were done remotely, and we had some quite young people joining us who were and still are actually at high school. We felt this was important because if you come into the office every day, you're going to walk past a desk, you're going to say hi to people. You might see your manager, they might ask you, how are you feeling today? What are you going to do today? And the daily stand-up call just gives you a little bit of daily contact that maybe just is the glue that holds the week together for you. And there are lots of other mechanisms for keeping in touch, as you can see. The picture that you see up is of the Intern Chat and Share meeting. So I started these last year to get all the students together to meet, seeing as everyone was remotely, and also to get people to come and speak from other areas of the business. So as well as working on your project, you should also be able to get a bit of a feeling for how LexisNexis Risk Solutions works in other areas. We had someone come and speak from HR about employment opportunities. We had someone come and give a virtual tour of our data center, which is always really interesting because there are some really amazing numbers that come up in terms of numbers of racks and all sorts of technical information that those of you out there will know much more about than I do. So here are the sorts of contributions that we had last year, just to give you an idea of sort of the current situation with the intern program. We are producing a cloud native version of our platform. That's the big news at the moment with our platform, and that will actually be coming out as production ready at some point in the next couple of months. So the chances are, if you join us for an internship this year, you will be working with that cloud native platform. And our students last year were our early adopters. Some of them who were not working on cloud native projects, but were working on machine learning, took some time to try and run what they were doing on our cloud native version as a kind of comparison between our bare metal and cloud native versions, which was a very interesting piece of information for us to learn about. The ones who were doing machine learning library projects, some of them were producing new algorithms that we can use, but we also had someone who produced a pre-processing bundle, because if you know anything about data science, you'll know that the pre-processing process is actually probably the most important and also the most time-consuming. And others produced usability enhancements for the platform itself. And I just put the bottom one in because if you're working as a developer on our system, then you're going to have to regression test your code and you're going to have to performance test it. This is what our own developers do. And as I keep saying, we don't expect you to work any differently. So we expect you to use all the same processes that our own developers use. So what do you get out of it over and above completing a project on our system? Well, you do get a feeling for office and team working experience. It may feel like it's just you and your mentor at the beginning, when that's the only person that you may know apart from me, but you are going to get to meet other people on the team. You will get to meet the other interns, and you may even get to meet people who aren't on this team who are on other teams, depending on what the needs of your project are. You will become quite skilled at project management in a way that friends of yours that aren't on an internship like this may not get to see. If you've had to produce a proposal and then you've had to put that proposal into action, I think that's a big deal. And that's something that's a skill that, you know, people who are looking to employ young people out of college that have the knowledge and the experience like that, they're going to be wanting someone that has those skills. You're working on a platform and a research and development team that is used now, that underpins our business. It's a real world environment, a real world business. And I don't think, you know, you could ask for more than contributing to something that's open source and actually used right now. The bleeding edge development is because we're moving towards the cloud, and that's another aspect that you will get to see, the difference between working on a bare metal platform and a cloud platform. And one of the things I do want to say is that, you know, at the start, you might feel a little bit sort of unsure of yourself when you start this program, but by the end of it, you are going to feel a lot more confident. I see this every year. I see students join and they're in awe of their mentor and they're wanting to do everything that their mentor says, which is as it should be. But by the end, the mentor is saying to them, and what do you think? And how do you think it should go? So there's a real sea change that happens somewhere along the 12-week program, whereby at the end, the student is taking real ownership of their project and making decisions that affect the success of their project. And as you can tell, you have experienced mentors there to support you. So I just wanted to show you some of the students who joined us last year. In fact, this is all of them because we had 7 join us last year. We normally have more than that, but COVID kind of got in the way and delayed things. So we just had 7. So the 3 whose names are in red, they're master's students. Robert Kennedy in green, he was a PhD student. And the ones in blue on the right, those are all high school students. And if you just have a quick look as I'm talking now at the sorts of titles of projects that they've done, you'll see that there's quite a range here of different things, from machine learning to cloud to robotics to an enhancement. The workflow items in parallel, that's an enhancement on our platform. And these were all extremely successful projects with code that will be used by people who use our system. This slide really is just to sort of really underscore the sorts of experience that you get and also how you can be part of our community and part of the wider team. I always do blogs every year about the students who join our program. You can see on the top left-hand corner, this is one of the blogs I wrote about how the students were contributing to our cloud native platform, which was a big deal for us actually last year. And at the bottom, you'll see there's a machine learning project by one of the students who sent me some details for a blog, which I then posted on his behalf on our website. The pictures in the middle are a little old, I'm afraid, because obviously we couldn't meet in person last year, but this is our poster contest. So every year our students provide a poster and are eligible to enter our poster contest, which is held at our Community Day Summit in the fall, around about October time. And you can see from the middle picture all of the students and their posters laid around the room. We did a virtual version of that this year, but I just wanted you to get a feel for how, you know, we tried to bring the students together, and the judges go around and judge the posters now, and then we give prizes to the winners, which you can see at the bottom. And in fact, the guy in the middle, Robert Kennedy, he's the PhD student that you might have seen on the previous page. You can also see in the bottom right-hand corner somebody's contribution to our GitHub repository, just to show you that we do take our contributions very seriously. So let's talk about future employment opportunities. They do exist at LexisNexis, and there is a website there that you can go up and look at to find out what sorts of jobs are available right now. Yes, if you've been an intern with us, you're probably going to have a head start in that process. I remember our HR person telling us that they were getting something like 300 applications for each job opening, which is just astounding, isn't it? And it's really hard for them, I think, to go through 300 applications really, really carefully. So I guess, you know, what you end up having to do is have some kind of filtering mechanism there. If you've interned with us, then I guess you have a head start because we know you already, we know what you can do. We have things that we can show to the hiring managers that indicate what you've done. So your poster, a presentation that you've done, a blog, all of these things that basically show someone who's hiring what you can do. If you do intern with us and you decide that you're ready for employment and you want to work at LexisNexis Risk Solutions and you apply for a job, do let us know, particularly your mentor and myself, because we can help to vouch for you. And I did this just the other week for an intern that we have now, well, they were interviewing, but actually they've now been accepted for a position and will be starting at some time this month. And obviously, when you join our intern program, you may not be ready for employment at the end of your internship. As you can see from the range of students we get across the academic spectrum, there are people who are undergraduates who then go on to do a master's, who then sometimes go on to do a PhD. And people do return and complete internships with us. In fact, you know, we've had students come back 3 years running. So this, oh, there we go. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button there. So if you want to learn more about the program, then these are some really useful links that you can click on in the PDF, which you can get from Kate. And you can go and find out more about how the program works, look at the projects list. You can look at what other students have done in the past, read my intern about the program, and go and have a look at our HPCC Systems GitHub repository just to get a little bit of a feel for the project itself. And that's it, that's my email address. Obviously, feel free to get in touch with Sophia and Kate at NSU, but if you have questions about the program, then do get in touch with me directly. I'm more than happy to take your emails directly and to answer any questions that you may have. And that's it, Kate.
Lorraine.
I'm done.
That was awesome. So we do have, let me see here, we have a few students in here. So I want to open the floor to everyone to see if you want to ask Lorraine any questions directly regarding this opportunity. I know it's a little unique. I had chatted with her previously about, you know, this internship having to do the application is very different. You have to submit a proposal. So I just want to kind of open the floor and let you all know this is a great time to ask her questions directly, because obviously she's very versed on the program. She oversees it. So please feel free to either drop it in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to, but you can.
I'm just going to put my email address in the chat as well.
Perfect. Any takers? Anyone have any questions?
Did it answer all your questions, Kate and Sophia? Do you, as people in the situation that you're in, is there anything that you would like to ask?
Go ahead, Sophie, do you have any questions? No?
No, this was a good, to me, this was a great presentation, because it allows for the students to know how to understand step by step. So now, actually, I do have a question. Let's say that the student wants to do their own research, and they want to do something that, you know, they've been planning to do it. This is a great opportunity for them. But then as they're thinking more about it and they start talking with the mentor, they realize, well, I don't want to do this anymore, you know, because, you know, situations change. Students sometimes change their mind. Now, if something like that was to happen, can the students still continue to do the internship, and maybe they can pick up another idea for the research or for the work, or if they decide to change whatever they want to do after they've been accepted, they can lose their internship?
The internship is offered on the basis of the proposal, so it would be quite difficult, I think, to make the switch unless there was a proposal waiting in the wings that was ready to go. I mean, obviously, the way that the application process works is you state your intention to prepare a proposal for a specific project. There's nothing to say that you can't submit a proposal for more than one project, but obviously your internship is for one particular proposal. And the review team, they look at all proposals, and you know, one year I think we had 3 different proposals from one student, but clearly, you know, you can't complete an internship for 3 proposals, each of which is 12 weeks work. So so we accepted the proposal for the project that we felt offered the most to our community. That's kind of how it works. It's about, you know, showing off your skills and your knowledge. also your ability to think things through. In some respects, I think that latter point is really the most important thing, because you're going to have to work with people over those 12 weeks. So if you can show that your thought processes, even if they're slightly flawed and you have to make changes, at least you've shown your thought process and that you can actually do that. So I hope that answers that question there. I think if that was to happen, I think if a student decided they didn't want to do that project anymore and there was no other project waiting in the wings, I think the answer is that I'm afraid that internship would probably have to be rescinded.
Okay, thank you.
Lorraine, I do have a question regarding the proposal. So I know there's opportunities, there's ones that you can just apply to. Do you guys have, do students tend to get chosen if they're picking one of your proposals? Is it harder to sell your own proposal? Like, what's your experience with that?
Absolutely not. Every
Okay.
year we accept proposals from students that have been their own idea. And actually that's what's really nice about it, because with our system, we never know how it's going to be used, and people come up with some really interesting ways of using our system that we never even thought of. And sometimes this is as a result of people coming and doing internships, or through our academic collaborations and professors who have a nice 12-week block of work that they don't have time to do themselves, but a student intern could do it for them, and that contributes greatly to their piece of research. We are not at all hung up on it having to be off our list, as long as your project is using HPCC systems in some way.
Okay, and since I don't think we have any other questions, I don't know, I'm gonna, feel free to just unmute yourself, anyone that's interested in asking a question. I was going to ask, I know we're talking really about internships, but for the students' use, I believe in the links, they could access the system. I kind of just want to remind them that this is an open source option for them to use for their own research, even if they don't do this internship, and to just keep that in mind, that this is a great resource for them. I don't know if there's anything specifically you'd want to share about that.
Well, if you go up to the website, you can download the latest code from our website, with also the release notes and the supporting documentation as well. We also have training courses that you can go and look at for learning ECL. Language ECL, Enterprise Control Language, that stands for, is I think if you know another language, particularly if you know SQL, for example, but if you know any of the other major well thought of languages, then you're not going to have any problem learning ECL. If you go to the training area of our website, you will see that there are online courses that you can take for free. The beginner courses are for free. The advanced courses have a cost linked with them, and they have prerequisites. So for example, you can't do the advanced ECL course without having taken the beginner course. It wouldn't make sense to do that. We need to know that you have a good foundation for your knowledge. For our academic partners, if you find that you need to go on and do an advanced ECL course, if you let us know that you're doing that, then we can often provide you with a code that enables you to take that code without incurring the costs.
That's great, awesome, thank you. I'm just checking the chat real quick one more time. I don't see any questions. So as you guys may notice, Lorraine does have an accent, so she's not on our time zone. So I don't want to keep her any longer than we need to if there's no questions. I don't know, Miriam, if you have a question. I know something was dropped to me with OneDrive, but I can't access it. So I didn't know if that was in reference to what Lorraine is talking about, Miriam. Okay, no. All right. Okay, so if no one has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and thank Lorraine. All right, okay, I see there's no more questions. Thank you, Lorraine, for your time. It was very helpful. I know me and Sophie, we've talked with you a couple times already, but it was good to kind of go through the slide deck, and now I have it also for reference. It was also, I think, great that we recorded this so I can share this with other students. So they might not be as intimidated by the application process. So I think this is really valuable. I will send the slide deck to everyone that was on the call today. Okay, no questions. She got back to me. I will send that to everyone on the call today. So you guys will have that. We're going to go ahead and post the video on our YouTube channel also for those of you that want to rewatch it just in case. And you were so lucky that Lorraine dropped her contact in here. So I do suggest that you make a note of that. She has allowed you to reach out to her. Not often do you get the email of the person that oversees an internship program. So if you do have questions, you can reach out to Lorraine directly, you can reach out to me. But thank you, Lorraine. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And then we will be in touch with you next week, or I think Trish, about the academic connections also we can hopefully put together with you all.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to your students. And I hope to welcome a student from NSU onto the program at some point. Who's going to be the first? Let's find out.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Great.
Yes, and there's a lot of thank yous in the chat. I don't know if you can see that.
I can see them. That's
Okay.
great. Thank you, everybody.